In life, we often think of family as the cornerstone of our happiness, a source of strength, comfort, and companionship. This belief is particularly strong as we grow older, imagining the joy of being surrounded by children and grandchildren during our twilight years. But what if this seemingly perfect dream comes with hidden costs? What if living too close to your loved ones could lead to an unexpected erosion of your personal identity, happiness, and independence? Welcome to this exploration of a paradox that many of us may face, but few are prepared to address. Today, let me take you on a journey through a thought-provoking narrative inspired by ancient Stoic wisdom and real-life dilemmas. This video isn't just a story about aging. It's a reflection on life's universal challenges, balancing love, duty, and self-respect. It's about uncovering the strength within yourself and rethinking the meaning of a fulfilled life. If you've ever felt torn between family obligations and personal freedom, then this story is for you. Imagine this. Mrs. Rosa, a widow in her 70s, decided to move in with her daughter Lucia and her grandchildren after the death of her husband. At first glance, it seemed like the perfect arrangement. Mrs. Rosa envisioned a life filled with shared laughter, warm hugs, and a renewed sense of purpose as she immersed herself in the daily lives of her loved ones. Her days were brimming with the comforting sounds of children's laughter and the satisfaction of preparing meals for her family. For a while, she felt like she had found her fountain of youth. But what if this dream of intergenerational bliss came at a greater cost than she ever imagined? What started as joyful togetherness began to shift. Mrs. Rosa found herself entangled in a web of constant obligations, cooking, cleaning, babysitting, until her personal time all but disappeared. As she overheard her daughter say, "Mom is a blessing. We don't know what we would do without her," pride mixed with an unsettling realization. Was she indispensable or simply trapped? This dilemma is far more common than we might think. Sociologists and psychologists have long studied the dynamics of multi-generational households. While they can bring emotional fulfillment, they can also lead to role strain and the loss of personal autonomy, particularly for elderly family members. Mrs. Rosa's situation is a stark reminder of the thin line between love and self-sacrifice. The Stoics, masters of finding balance in life's challenges, offered timeless lessons that resonate deeply with Mrs. Rosa's story. Their philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control, to cultivate inner resilience, and to seek harmony within ourselves rather than in external circumstances. One key idea from Stoicism is the concept of amor fati, or loving one's fate. It encourages us to accept life's realities, no matter how challenging, and to transform them into opportunities for growth. In Mrs. Rosa's case, this could mean recognizing her sacrifices not as losses, but as stepping stones toward rediscovering her own path. But such acceptance doesn't mean passive resignation. Instead, the Stoics emphasize the importance of prohairesis, the ability to make deliberate and virtuous choices within our circumstances. Mrs. Rosa's story challenges us to ask, are we living the life we desire, or are we simply fulfilling roles imposed upon us? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The story of Mrs. Rosa is more than just a philosophical reflection. It is a mirror that many of us can hold up to our own lives. Perhaps you have faced similar moments when duty seemed to conflict with personal happiness. Perhaps you've asked yourself, am I truly living, or am I merely existing to meet others' expectations? In this video, we will unravel Mrs. Rosa's journey in 3 parts. First, we'll dive into the emotional and psychological toll she experienced while trying to balance family and personal freedom. Next, we'll explore how she found inspiration to reclaim her independence through surprising encounters and powerful lessons. Finally, we'll extract actionable insights from her story and Stoic philosophy that can help all of us navigate life's complexities with grace and courage. To illustrate these lessons, we will weave in additional stories from modern families, historical figures, and even personal experiences that echo the central theme. These examples will show that Mrs. Rosa's journey is not unique, but part of a larger, shared human experience. Together, we'll discover how to honor family bonds without losing ourselves, how to give love without draining our essence, and how to embrace the paradox of life with wisdom and clarity. So, if you're ready to delve into a story that could change the way you view love, family, and independence? Stay with us. This is more than just a tale. It's a guide to living a fuller, freer, and more meaningful life. And remember, as the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, life is long if you know how to use it. Let's learn how to use it well, starting today. Mrs. Rosa's days followed a familiar pattern. She woke up early, often before the sun rose, to prepare breakfast for the family. Pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse, sandwiches cut into perfect triangles, and freshly brewed coffee became her daily routine. The children adored her creations, but Rosa often found herself too tired to enjoy the mornings she so carefully orchestrated. By the time the afternoon came, her schedule was packed with tasks, helping with homework, cleaning up messes, preparing dinner, and ensuring everyone else's needs were met. Her own needs, however, remained a distant afterthought. One evening, after putting the grandchildren to bed, Rosa sat alone on the porch. The house was finally quiet, but the silence felt heavy rather than peaceful. She stared at the stars, her mind drifting to memories of her own life before moving in with her daughter. She thought about her small apartment with its cozy furniture, the bookshelves lined with novels she'd always meant to read, and the art supplies she'd tucked away, promising herself she'd paint again someday. Those promises now felt like echoes of another life, one she'd abandoned in her quest to be the perfect grandmother. The turning point came unexpectedly. Rosa's lifelong friend, Carmela, visited her one afternoon. Carmela, always full of energy and wit, noticed the fatigue in Rosa's eyes and the strain in her voice. Over coffee, Rosa poured out her heart, confessing her feelings of being overwhelmed and unfulfilled. Carmela listened intently and then, with a knowing smile, shared her own story. "Rosa, I've been where you are," Carmela began. "After my husband passed, my children convinced me to move in with them. At first it felt right, a way to stay close to the people I love most. But over time I realized I'd lost myself. I wasn't Carmela anymore. I was just mom or grandma." Carmela's story mirrored Rosa's own, but it came with a revelation. "One day, I decided enough was enough. I moved back into my own place. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it." You see, Rosa, true love isn't about sacrificing yourself completely. It's about being whole so you can truly give. Inspired by Carmela's words, Rosa began to make small changes. She started with a daily walk in the park. At first, she felt guilty for taking time away from her family, but the crisp morning air and the rhythmic sound of her footsteps soon became a source of solace. These moments alone allowed her to reflect on her life and rediscover pieces of herself she'd forgotten. Next, Rosa unearthed her art supplies. The first time she held a paintbrush again, her hands trembled with both excitement and doubt. She chose simple subjects at first, a vase of flowers, a quiet landscape. But as the days passed, her confidence grew. Painting became her sanctuary, a place where she could lose herself and find herself all at once. Her grandchildren, curious about her newfound hobby, often joined her in the afternoons, turning her creative escape into a shared joy. With each small step, Rosa felt her energy returning. She began to set boundaries gently but firmly. When her daughter asked her to babysit late into the evening, Rosa politely declined, explaining that she had plans. At first, Lucia seemed surprised, even hurt, but over time she began to understand. Rosa wasn't pulling away, she was reclaiming her sense of self. The change in Rosa didn't just affect her, it rippled through her family. The grandchildren admired their grandmother's paintings and begged to learn from her. Lucia, seeing her mother's newfound vibrancy, reflected on her own life. "Mom," she said one evening, "you've inspired me. I've always wanted to take a photography class, but I kept putting it off. Seeing you paint, it reminds me that it's never too late." Rosa's journey was far from over, but she had taken the first, most important steps. Her days were no longer defined solely by her family's needs. They were filled with balance, moments of solitude, bursts of creativity, and meaningful connections with her loved ones. By choosing to nurture herself, Rosa found she had even more to give to those she cherished most. As Rosa's story shows, reclaiming independence doesn't mean abandoning family. It means honoring yourself so that you can better honor the relationships that matter most. In the next section, we'll delve deeper into the lessons Rosa's journey teaches us about life, love, and the courage to embrace change. Mrs. Rose's journey of rediscovery is a testament to the transformative power of self-love and balance. It's a story of courage, not the kind of grand, heroic bravery we see in movies, but the quiet, steadfast courage to reclaim a sense of self amid the demands of family and life. Her experience teaches us something profound. True love thrives not in sacrifice, but in balance. In finding her independence, Rosa demonstrated that honoring your own needs doesn't mean neglecting those of your loved ones. On the contrary, it enhances relationships. Her decision to pursue her passions, set boundaries, and rediscover her identity brought a new vitality not just to her life, but to her families as well. By becoming whole, Rosa became a source of inspiration and joy to those around her. The lessons from Rosa's journey are timeless. First, we must recognize the importance of setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges that connect us to others while protecting our sense of self. Rosa's choice to gently but firmly say no when needed allowed her to give her best self to her family rather than what was left of herself after exhaustion. Second, the power of rediscovery cannot be underestimated. When Rosa unearthed her art supplies and began painting again, she tapped into a wellspring of creativity and joy that had been buried beneath years of routine. This act of rediscovery reminded her that it's never too late to pursue forgotten dreams or explore new passions. In doing so, she enriched her own life and inspired those around her. Third, Rosa's story illustrates the ripple effect of personal transformation. When she chose to prioritize her well-being, her family benefited. Her grandchildren saw a grandmother who was vibrant and engaged, not weary and overburdened. Her daughter, Lucia, found the courage to pursue her own interests. Rosa's actions were a powerful reminder that our own happiness is not just a gift to ourselves, but to everyone we care about. Rosa's journey also highlights the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. The teachings of the Stoics remind us to focus on what we can control and to approach life with purpose and resilience. Rosa's embrace of these principles allowed her to navigate the complexities of family life without losing herself in the process. By practicing amor fati and accepting her circumstances with grace, she turned challenges into opportunities for growth. And through prohairesis, she made deliberate, virtuous choices that honored both her needs and her family's. As we reflect on Rosa's story, let's ask ourselves, are we living in alignment with our true selves? Or are we sacrificing too much in the name of duty? Are there dreams we've put on hold, passions we've neglected, or boundaries we need to set? Rosa's example reminds us that it's never too late to make a change. In closing, remember that love and independence are not opposing forces, they are complementary. Just as Rosa found, the strongest bonds are built not through sacrifice but through mutual respect and balance. By nurturing ourselves, we nurture those we love. By pursuing our own happiness, we inspire others to do the same. So as you go forward, take a moment to reflect on Rosa's journey and the lessons it holds. Embrace change with courage, honor your passions, and build relationships that uplift and empower. And as the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Let those thoughts guide you to a life of meaning, balance, and joy. If Rosa's story resonated with you, it's time to take the first step in your own journey. Reflect on the parts of your life that may need balance, whether it's setting boundaries, rediscovering old passions, or simply taking time for yourself. Remember, small steps can lead to transformative change. We encourage you to start by writing down one thing you've always wanted to do, but have put off. Take a small action today, sign up for a class, pick up a hobby, or carve out a moment of solitude. And if you found value in this video, share it with a loved one who might need a gentle nudge to rediscover themselves. Finally, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss inspiring stories like this. Together, let's build a community that celebrates balance, growth, and meaningful living. Your next chapter is waiting. Why not start writing it today?